In 2019, Apple announced it would begin selling parts and tools to independent repair shops. At the time, this seemed a huge victory for the sector. For years, Apple had blocked that possibility, so repairers had to get creative to find components such as screens or batteries. Yet, as usual, the devil is in the details. Over time, details about the limitations and manipulations of this independent repair program have emerged. Apple followed a three-step formula to make sure this program sucked. In fact, within a year of its launch, only 140 stores had signed up. Many of them actually reported losing money through this program. What's more, there's clear evidence that Apple used this program as a lobbying and PR tool, not as a genuine tool to promote repair. But let's see the evidence. In 2020, the Motherboard magazine obtained a copy of the contract that repair shops are supposed to sign to access this program. This was the first time that the contract was made public, so it was a big thing. The document included provisions that lawyers and repair advocates described as crazy. Let's see the three main elements of this contract. The first tactic to make this program a joke was to invade consumers' privacy. Apple required repair shops to share information about their customers such as their names, their addresses, or their phone numbers. In fact, the contract required stores to maintain an electronic database or written documentation with this information. Needless to say, this is very invasive of customers' privacy, which can lead to consumers preferring not to use this option at all. The second tactic was to make this program an excuse to control repair shops. According to the contract, repair shops also have to agree to random audits and inspections by Apple. These inspections can take place at any time, including normal business hours. Apparently, the goal here is to search for so-called prohibited repair components. Yet, the definition of what is a prohibited repair component is a bit murky.
That is an ambiguous, subjective, and potentially very broad definition. As a result, it gives Apple a lot of leverage over the companies that sign this agreement,
said Aaron Pejanovsky, a law professor that wrote that great book about the right to repair. In other words, Apple is telling repair shops that if they want components from Apple, they cannot get them from anybody else. This requirement doesn't sound that crazy until you realize that originally this program only included battery and screen replacements. According to the contract, if prohibited parts were to be found, Apple could impose fines of up to $1,000 per transaction. What's even more crazy here is that even if a shop leaves the program, Apple can continue inspecting it for up to 5 years. So basically, this is a way for Apple to keep control over independent repair stores. The conditions of the contract are insane, and that's probably why businesses receive the contract after signing a non-disclosure agreement. Finally, the third tactic to make this program useless was to depict repair shops as unreliable. Despite the new policy, businesses that joined the initiative were not considered to be Apple authorized. That's why, according to the contract, they had to obtain an express written acknowledgement from customers. This document had to prove that customers understood that they were not receiving a service from an authorized provider and that Apple, the company, was not providing a guarantee for that repair. As Aaron Pejanovsky says, this provision seems designed to create doubts about the quality of the repair. Some customers might hesitate if they hear that that store is not authorized and that Apple will not offer a warranty for that repair. That's the case even if there's no evidence that independent repair stores are worse at repair than Apple. An Apple lobbyist actually acknowledged this in a discussion with the US Federal Trade Commission. Public transcripts show that while he had suggested that independent repair stores could make shoddy repairs, when he was asked about empirical data, he was not aware of any. So what's the whole point of these conditions in the contract? Keith Walsh, a senior employee at the Electronic Frontier Foundation, said these conditions
give Apple a huge amount of discretion, impose potentially business-destroying costs and penalties on the repair shop, and require that they grant access to Apple without notice.
Walsh added that Apple is known for interpreting its intellectual property rights in a very broad manner. Again, if Apple finds that you have used prohibited parts in your repair activities, they can fine you with up to $1,000 in addition to having to reimburse the company for its investigation costs.
None of this makes sense as a business. I can't believe anyone would sign this. This is crazy,
said Gay Gordon, the executive director of the Repair Association. And he was right. Companies that did sign up to this program ended up losing money. Delays in the process and the high prices of Apple parts make it almost impossible to compete with Apple. Through this program, Apple controls the whole process, and they can basically put out of business a repair store if they want. One repairman from Australia, for instance, said that Apple had a delay of 1 year for certain parts, and that it was impossible to speak to anyone at Apple.
The main problem with Apple is they don't even give customer service. They have a portal where you can ask questions in a search prompt, and it will just take you to an article.
He said, the reality is that Apple won't do anything to facilitate repair. Apple is known for going against independent repair shops and self-repair. The company has initiated many legal cases against independent repair stores. It has lobbied against right-to-repair laws, and it designs devices in a way that makes repairs almost impossible. So the real goal of this independent repair initiative is not really to facilitate repair. The goal is to control repair stores while giving the impression that Apple is doing things for the repair sector. There's clear evidence that Apple used this initiative as a PR campaign and also as a political tool. The day after the program was announced, an Apple lobbyist sent an email to Oregon Representative Rob North, who sponsored a right-to-repair bill. The email highlighted the new initiative, highlighting the supposed benefits without talking about all the obstacles for repair shops. This was an attempt to say, hey, we are actually supporting the repair sector, so there's no really a need for you to support right-to-repair legislation. It's not needed anymore. A few weeks later, when the House Judiciary Committee asked Apple whether its restrictions on repair are an attempt to limit competition, Apple responded that the company is continuing to grow its base of third-party repair providers, including, you guessed it, the independent repair program. This is quite ironical because the question was made in the context of the US Congress investigating Apple's repair monopoly. Yet, Apple had the nerve to put the independent repair program as a positive example of their activities. But as we saw, the conditions of the contract make it clear that this is yet another tool to control the repair sector.